Here at ARE11 Steel Detailing, we use a model checking process that goes through three phases in order to ensure that the model is completely accurate before we start creating shop drawings. I currently have the model colorized by the checking status that's going on. If I scroll down here, you can see that there are different colors associated to drawings created, model complete, something that's ready for checking, checked with comments, has been back checked by the detailer, and then is marked as check complete. I've tried to make these colors match the old school traditional paper-based checking colors that you would normally see in the detailing process. Let's zoom into this corner here where I can see that there's a lot of checking activity. If I select on a part and then open up the user-defined attributes, go to the ARE11 Model Checking tab, we can see the initials of different operations and the date that those operations were completed. And then here you can see the status, which controls the color. The model checking goes through three waves or three phases. First, you have the framing check, which is checking the initial framing geometry, the profile sizes, the work points, elevations, any camber and material grade or finish information. Then from there, since we know all the geometry is correct, it's going to be easier for us to start applying connections and checking connections. We don't want to apply connections before we've checked the framing because if there's any manual work that's done to those connections and the framing is wrong, if we find that we have to change the framing, we'll then have to redo those connections. Then we have a last phase here, which is our accessories. This is where things like pour stop, safety cable holes, or any architectural accessories and attachments that are being put onto these members is then applied and checked at the very end. Here I can see that I have a red beam. I'll select this and press Get, and here I can see the checker's notes. Can't verify the elevation. So this means there might be an RFI that's required on this. And on the RFI tab here, we can see that RFI information has actually been associated to this particular member. This information will also appear on any erection drawings as well as shop drawings. Now we have these three different phases of the model checking process. And basically what we do is we just cycle through these checking statuses on each one of the phases. Now to colorize the checking status by each mode or each operation here, if we go into the representation, we can go to the drop down here and we can load up a checking status by accessories, connections, or framing. This looks at a combination of the checking status as well as whether or not a specific operation has been completed or has the initials set and the date set on it. Now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm also going to colorize by modeling status. This will actually colorize the model by all three of the operations, as you can see here. So when the model is complete and drawings are created, that's green. Accessories and accessories checked is a magenta or purple color. And connections checked is yellow and orange. And then framed and framing checked is a blue and cyan color. If something is not complete at all or hasn't been set with any initials, then it's just going to turn gray. Here, when we look at the model, we can see that there's been a considerable amount of steel that's already been connected and is ready to be checked by the checker. I do see also some items that have been framed but have not been checked. The dark blue represents that these have been checked, and so that the detailer can start probably applying connections on those. And then the orange members show that these have been connected as well as connected checked. With these statuses being written to the model, as a project manager, I can quickly and instantly see all of the current production and status on the project. I can see which detailer is doing how much of different type of work, whether framing, connections, or accessories. I can see the total status by each of the major phases, including checking as well as the detailing. Then I can look at the current checking statuses here at the upper right, so I can see what the flow of work is that's in detailing or that's ready for checking to a checker to come back onto the project. And then I can also look at the different operations and see the productivity rates and the number of assemblies or beams that are being completed on those different operations throughout the life cycle of the project. So in summary, some of the model checking benefits are you're able to find RFIs early by both the checker as well as the detailer scanning through the model and reviewing the framing. You can identify even connection issues or potential problems or RFIs early on the project. And then the biggest benefit is preventing building errors upon errors. Again, if I can check the framing early, make sure the geometry and all of the elevations and things are correct first, when I go to connections, I can be assured that I'm not going to have any errors being built upon errors. Then we want to prevent lots of model fixes and piece mark changes from happening after drawings are created. When you're doing the flow of a job and you think that all of the modeling and everything is complete and you start to create your drawings, sometimes you'll have separate people, such as drafters, just going ahead and creating the drawings and cleaning them up. If there's constant model fixes and errors that are being found at that process, then that actually stops the flow of the job and you have to go back in the model, change and update things, and then come back and adjust the cleanup. And in some cases, if you have a lot of piece marks that are combined, and if you go back in the model and make those changes, then sometimes they'll change piece marks and quantities might change, which again just disrupts the flow of just cleaning up and knocking out the drawings.